All right, everyone. So I know there's a lot of people on the internet shouting about, oh, I can help you build an SMA that will get to this point and this point, and I've done 100K and this and that. I know there's a lot of noise, but trust me, I made this video for my old self about 3-4 years ago when I started my first agency. Since then, I've built 2 agencies, one of which I scaled and sold, and the second one, GrowthTube, which I'm pretty much basing this entire video on, which I was definitely able to get to 25K a month in 45 days. Now, I actually have proof. I have a step-by-step process that I went through, and pretty much this is just, I did it, and this is what I did. And along the way, there were a few things I could have done to speed up the process, and I just want to give all of that to you step by step. So I literally want to give you a resource today. I'm going to walk through and run through it. You can literally print this, stick it up on your wall, and simply just ask yourself, okay, if I'm less than 10K per month with my agency, have I done this, this, and this? Chances are you haven't, which is why you haven't got to that 25K per month mark, etc., etc. Right, so again, no fluff, no bullshit. Yes, do I have an offer for you potentially to work with me and I can help you build your agency? Yes, but if you don't want to buy it, that's cool. This is still going to be incredibly valuable. So without further ado, let's just get into it. All right, guys, so as I said, this is that resource that I promised you. As you can see, I've literally laid out a step-by-step process along with a bunch of notes. I'm literally going to walk you through GrowthTube, the agency that I built. And again, just, to start off with a little bit of social proof, just so you know that I'm not bullshitting. A lot of people on the internet, they seem to have these like fake sort of kind of screenshots, which don't really make sense from Stripe. So, I said, let me do it because everyone has to show their Stripe screenshots, but let me do it in a way that actually is realistic. So what I went ahead and did is I took both the mobile screenshot and the desktop screenshot. So you can see kind of both, and then the account balance as well. All right, so if you have a look this month, we did about 27K net profit, about 30K. The reason for that is basically what happened is some clients chose to pay upfront. Other clients pretty much had a little bit of a refund because we changed our pricing midway through, right? So the true MRR was about 25K, even though cash collected was a lot more than that. And you can see there's October through November, there's that 3,600. And you can see the previous month, we did about 40K. But that is because, again, the way that I structured my agency is a lot of clients paid upfront, but the true MRR, again, is 25K. I want to make that absolutely clear. Yeah, so that is some screenshots of GrowthTube. That's what we did. This is the first time that I ever had 100K in my bank account. And again, this is not just with this agency. As I said, I've built and scaled a lot of agencies over time. But again, I just want to show you as much social proof as I can because, I genuinely want you to take this video to heart, right? So let's get into how you can build a 20K per month agency in about 45 days. And we're literally just going to go through this step by step as we go. Right, so the first thing is foundations, which is simply you have to give it all of your focus. There's lots of quotes around like if you chase many rabbits, you catch none. And there's a lot to be said for just picking one thing and doing it for an extended period of time to the point where you actually get good at it and the market chooses to reward you for it, right? So a couple notes that I have here is just avoid shiny object syndrome. If you're on this YouTube rabbit hole of like, how can I start a business, get financial freedom, location freedom, all these things, there's 1,000,001 people shouting at you for different things, right? There's SMA, there's dropshipping, there's Amazon FBA, there's like OnlyFans agencies, there's, probably affiliate marketing, there's like 1,000,000 different things that you can do. And I just want to say that hands down, until you have 100K cash in your bank, this is the best business model. The reason why I mentioned 100K and the reason why I actually chose this screenshot, which I just found on my phone from years ago, is because obviously I have multiple businesses and I don't want people to think that is the way, that it's not the way. The reason I do it is because I've reached a stage where I can now choose to do it. But in the beginning, all I did is just one thing, which was agency. It's the best business model. Why? Lots of videos made on this, but pretty much because it requires the least upfront capital. Really, it's just a couple softwares, so to speak. You don't need to invest in products. You don't need to invest in ads. You don't need to invest in all these things. It's a great business as well to learn a lot of skills. You can learn how to hire people, fire people, get clients, manage clients, build relationships, operations, system design, so many things. It really is literally like the best business school where you actually learn by doing versus reading some arbitrary bullshit textbook that doesn't say anything that's actually applicable in real life. So if you are doing less than 10K per month with your business adventures, just stop looking at anything else and just focus on one thing. Focus on your agency until you get, as I said, I think it's 100K cash in the bank, but maybe at like 15, 20K per month, you can start looking at other things, but really let's just get that down. Now, the way that we go about giving it all of your focus is by implementing some form of a focus protocol, right? Now, I put the AKA monk mode. That's just the term that's been thrown around YouTube at the moment. There's a lot of different protocols out there. They've been around for a long time. Monk mode is just the recent hyped up one, but pretty much what it is just give yourself 90 days to make this your full-time thing. So what I mean by that is some of you don't want to go to college, right? Some of you are in college but want to leave. Some of you are working a full-time job but hate your life. And so whatever it is, make this at least 90 days Give it 90 days to the point where you can not do one of those things. You can drop out of college. You can not go to college. You can leave your job. If that's what you want to do. Just give yourself at least 90 days as room to build this to the point where you can actually achieve that, right? Now, the recommended protocol that I always mention is book a plane to somewhere cheap where it's inexpensive to live. Probably I would recommend either Bali, South America. Cape Town's great for that, where it's relatively inexpensive to live compared to other countries, especially if you grew up there. So because your expenses come down a lot lower, you are not forced to make a lot of money, which means you can reinvest a lot of that into the business, and you can probably stop doing your job or like anything else that you had that you needed to do to basically give you money, right, to live. On top of that also, it needs to be a place that is a million miles away from any friends and family, simply because you just don't want any distractions. A lot of people think they have this massive motivation and focus where they can just, ignore everyone for a while. But I just think the easiest way to do it is just out of sight, out of mind. Go somewhere where they aren't, right? Your friends and your family can't interrupt you if, they have to get on a plane for 18 hours to find you, right? Really, that's just the easiest way to do it. And again, I'd give yourself 90 days. A lot can happen in 90 days, right? Which really is just a small amount of time in the grand scheme of things. Right. Now, the next thing is set a goal. Most people, when they start and they don't really have a goal, or they do have a goal, but it's an arbitrary goal, like, I want to make 10K per month or 20K per month. But what you need to understand is progress is just math. So what you need to do is work backwards from the end financial goal you want to achieve. So for example, let's say that's 10K per month. What you need to do is do all the backward math. So you need to say, okay, 10K per month. I'm going to charge my clients 2K per month. That means I need 5 clients, right? On average, I need to send X amount of looms to book a meeting, right? Or I need to make X amount of YouTube videos to book a meeting. It doesn't really matter. And I need X amount of meetings to close 1 client. And you pretty much just do the math backwards until you arrive at how many looms do I need to send out? How many YouTube videos do I need to make? How many cold calls do I need to make? It doesn't really matter the form of outreach. But what you need to do is basically create an action goal, not an outcome goal. Because what happens if you say, I want to do 10K per month, you can't break that down into a 90-day interval, right? You can basically say, 10K divided by 90 days and figure out how much do I need to make per day, but that doesn't really help you in this industry. It's also a very quick way to lose motivation, because if 90 days passes and you haven't achieved the goal, then you feel like you failed, and then you lose motivation, you just quit, right? Instead, what you need to do is work backwards and say, I need to send 10 emails a day or 50 emails a day. Now what you've done is you've set an action goal, not an outcome goal. So as long as you take the action, you have succeeded in achieving that goal. This is great for motivation. It's great for consistency. And again, if you do that action for long enough, you will achieve the outcome versus the other way around, right? So again, understand that. Third is just get a little bit of knowledge on your actual service, right? I call this service knowledge osmosis. So I'm not saying that you need to be an expert. I actually put here, just become good enough. I'm not saying you have to be an absolute Facebook ad, Google ad, TikTok ad, content creation, programming, whatever service you choose, expert ninja. I'm just saying you have to know sort of what you're talking about. It always amazes me when someone is literally about to get on a call to sell something like Facebook ads and they have no idea how to log into Facebook ads. They've never looked at the interface before. They don't know what they're talking about. And they ask me questions like, why am I so nervous? And I'm like, well, because you don't know what you're talking about. Like, I wouldn't buy from you if you were trying to sell me, because I can see you're a moron. You don't know what you're talking about, right? So again, you don't have to become an expert. You just have to get knowledge, right? You just have to know more or less how it works. And what this does is it gives you a little bit of an idea if you can actually see yourself delivering the service for a long time. So if you just start deep diving into a service and you hate it, like maybe you suck at math or you don't want to do math. Well, Facebook ads, maybe not the best thing for you since there's a lot of numbers and a lot of math, right? There's plenty of other services if you don't like math and you don't like numbers, okay? But pretty much what you want to do is just get enough knowledge to the point where you can talk about it, not as an expert, but just as a knowledgeable person, and basically just figure out if this is something you can see yourself doing for a long time. Now, in order to do this, I think you need to take at least 1 or 2 courses on whatever the service is. And for this, I recommend CXL. So I don't have an affiliate with these guys. I don't know who started this company. I have nothing, to sell you, or no benefit for recommending them. But I always recommend it to people, and every time I do, people say, wow, thank you, this helped me so much. So pretty much what CXL is it's kind of like a Udemy or Coursera or one of those places, but specifically for marketing agencies. So how it works is you can go to like training, and you can go to, they call them like mini degrees or marketing courses, but you can go to like marketing and you can see they've got dozens and dozens of courses. So they've got one on Facebook ads. They've got an entire little course on TikTok ads as an example. So it pretty much runs through the entire thing around TikTok ads. There's one on Facebook ads. There's one on Google ads. There's one on copywriting. There's one on email marketing. There's one on pretty much any service you could possibly think of. And the best part about it is it's literally $1, right? So you can sign up for the free trial, which is 7 days. You can spend those 7 days going through the course, get what you need, and it will cost you $1, right? Whereas if you go to Udemy or YouTube, like, you're going to end up paying a lot of money. And I understand as a beginner, that's a big concern for you. So check it out. Any of your services that you're probably going to think of doing are probably on here, and I think it's a great resource. The content's good, it's taught by experts, and yeah, highly recommend it. Right, the next thing is the initial infrastructure build, and literally guys, this should take a day. I see so many people where they start an agency and they spend 2 months building a website or building a logo or messing around with a name and just not actually getting anything done. And then they wonder, why am I not getting results? So this should take a day. So how this works, come up with a very quick name for your agency, right? My agencies, the first one was called Spearpoint Analytica. That was because I saw something called Cambridge Analytica on the news and it sounded cool. The second one was Central Site. The motto that we had there was to be a central launch site for your business. So we just combined the word central and launch site. And the third one was GrowthTube, simply because it's basically an agency that helps creators on YouTube grow. Plus we run ads to sell more courses. So basically we're helping you grow and we're doing it all through YouTube. So growth and YouTube kind of makes GrowthTube, right? So again, that was like my creative side of things. But I know a lot of people who run massive agencies that are like, their name media, like Courtney Marlin Media or CM Media, CMJ Media. It doesn't really matter. The name doesn't matter at all, right? At all. Especially because most people don't build massive brands in the agency space. They do it mostly through outreach, right? B2B sales. A quick funnel, you don't need a massive website with a lot of things. I actually want to show you the GrowthTube website. So this is the website that I built. I built it on Wix. It took me probably about 2 hours to build in total. I found some random assets online. Very simple. The entire website is one page, right? So all of these things, they just move to different parts of the page, right? So the entire thing is just one page, and I think there's like 3 sections. It's pretty much just a banner, like what do we actually do? Why would you want to work with us? And then like a call to action. That literally is the entire site. And if you click get started, it takes you through a funnel. Again, the point of this website is not to be a website, it's to be a funnel. You got to understand that websites are for branding. We're not trying to build a brand here. That's not the point. We were trying to do sales, right? And so the only time anyone's going to come to your website is either if you do it through outreach or if you run ads. That's the only time anyone's going to find you. So it needs to be designed with that in mind, which means you need to funnel the traffic to the action that you want, which is of course them booking a call with you. So how did I do that? Well, get started. Takes you to this typical landing page for a VSL. We call out exactly who it is, nice headline, nice image. You press this, you opt in, that goes into our CRM. Then there's a 7-minute video explaining what we do, who it's for, and what the next steps are. And then you click the only button on the entire page, and that takes you to a Calendly. You can see we are absolutely full. We cannot take on any more clients. So I've completely block this off, right? So no more times left in December. So you can book a call even if you wanted to. Again, you need a CRM. That's because you want to start outreach straight away. These are the only tools I'd recommend. Wix, I think I paid $60 for the entire year. So that's what, like $5 a month. Close, which is the CRM that I recommend. You can go through their website and have a look at it. There's a lot of reasons why I recommend it. Maybe I'll make a video on it in the future. But I think the lowest plan is like $29 a month, so really inexpensive. And then just Google Workspace. So you can have like a professional Courtney at GrowthTube email. You don't want one of those like at Gmail things. That's just a little bit spammy. And honestly, the total of this probably is going to be like $50 a month, right? If that even. And this entire thing can happen in a day. You can get a name, get a domain, you can build the funnel, and you can set up the CRM in an entire day. Right, then the next thing that you do is launch in beta. So the reason why I recommend launching in beta is because in the beginning, obviously people are going to have concerns, right? You don't have any previous clients, you don't have any results, you don't have any case studies. So naturally sales for you is going to be very, very difficult because you have no leverage, right? So what you want to do is launch in beta. Pretty much any successful business always does this. They don't just launch, right? They launch in beta. They learn from their existing customers in beta who are willing to try new things. They apply those learnings to make the service better. Then they launch with a product that is proven, gotten good reviews, gotten case studies, and then they scale from there. That's the way things work, right? People seem to think they can just skip that part. So the reason why we do this again, build sales momentum. We want to make sales easy. When people get on calls with you, they're going to be skeptical. They're going to say, okay, you want to charge me X amount per month, but have you ever done this before? Like, where's your clients? Like, people are going to be skeptical. So again, you beat that skepticism by saying, look, I've never done this before, but I am spending a huge amount of time and energy learning. And that's why I'm going to discount my price pretty much almost down to zero. Never work for free. I'd recommend just $500 a month just to get clients through the door. Because what this does is it makes sales a lot easier because you attack their main objection front on, right? So it helps you build sales momentum. It is a little bit of cash flow. Again, it's at least going to pay for your softwares, and at least you can go through the experience of processing them in Stripe, getting things in your bank account. It's not going to make you rich overnight, but it will give you that initial momentum. It's also going to allow you to get case studies, because the only way to get case studies is land clients, get them results, right? So what we need to do is we need to land clients, get them results through this process. And then it's also going to let you build systems. So again, you'll notice that I just said go straight to launching a beta, right? Go straight to just doing outreach. Don't sit around figuring out systems and how to build Slack channels and how to run the ads. Don't do any of that, right? You build the systems through that beta. So as you are actually delivering the service for your first 3 clients, you're taking notes of what's working and what's not, and that becomes the systems that run in your agency. Finally, pick one active and one passive outreach form, right? And set a daily target and just execute. So I've made videos on this because it's quite a complicated topic, but pretty much an active and a passive form of outreach. Active is something where you go to people. So think cold emails, cold looms, cold calling. That's all active outreach. Passive outreach is where you are building a system for people to come to you. So the examples of that would be things along the lines of YouTube channel, social flywheel, putting content on your Facebook profile, Instagram profile, and over time building a following. Now, active is immediate, right? Because you're going to them. But because it's immediate, because you're going to them, you're giving up a lot of leverage. What this basically means in the long term is because you're going to them, you can't charge as much. Usually the clients are not as high quality, and usually they're very difficult to get results for. Passive clients are the best because you can charge a lot. They're easy to work with. You have all the leverage, so the sales call is not hard, and usually they're easy to get results. But the problem is it takes about 6 months to get passive to be working. So you have to start with something, which is the active, right? So again, what we need to do is set a daily target. I'm going to send 50 emails and make 2 YouTube videos a day or something like that, and then just execute. It doesn't really matter whatever the goal is just to do the work and just do the work, right? Then what you want to do, I've also made lots of videos on this, but most people, when they do outreach, they just do outreach, right? They just say, I want to send 50 emails a day. They don't actually think about how to progressively get better day by day, week by week. So what you need to do is scientifically execute through each method. So whether that's email, cold calling, doesn't matter, to get better and better. There is a reason there are entire programs built around just doing cold email. There's entire programs around just doing cold calling, because each of these things, people think that they're just something that you can learn in a YouTube video. They take a lot of time to master, and they're very difficult, right? Again, it's basically, if you can master one of these things, you have the ability to print money, right? Just think about that. Because if you master cold email, as an example, no matter what business, whatever thing you do in the future, you know you can get customers, right? So that's a really, really high level skill. So it takes time. And again, the only way to learn it is to scientifically execute, test different subject lines, figure out what works, what doesn't, and go through the process, take notes of what's working and what's not. I made a full video about that somewhere on my channel. You can go check that out. I said, focus goes where energy flows. You can see I've got 1 active and 1 passive. I see these people that are doing 10 different outreach methods. They're cold calling, they're cold emailing, they're doing cold messenger, they're on LinkedIn, they're doing all these things, and I just don't know how these people get anything done, to be honest. I know that at best, they are mediocre at all of them, and at worst, they're wasting all their time because they've got nothing going for them on any of them, versus the person who just chooses one platform and absolutely masters it, right? Think of that again. Now, optimize for both the short term and the long term. That's that whole thing of you want to be doing what you need to do today to get clients, but you also want to be building something over the long term. That's why we do active and passive. Finally, your next step is obviously exit beta. So I think that your beta should be your first 3 clients. So your first 3 clients, you should charge anywhere from $500 to $1,000. I found that's a sweet spot of what clients are willing to pay to take a risk on you, considering you've got no results, no clients, no case studies, or anything like that. But at client number 4, you should now be able to exit beta. So what you need to do now is iteratively test what the ceiling is for your front-end service. So I'm going to speak about front-end and back-end services on an agency in different videos, but pretty much your front-end, that's what you sell to new customers. You don't know the maximum that you can charge from it until you've actually tried. And don't look at YouTube videos and say, oh, this person said 2K a month, that person said 3K. That's just stupid. That's just, the blind following the blind, which is why people don't get anything done. What you need to do is just test. Let's say you have 5 sales calls a week. On each sales call, simply just offer different prices until you see what the maximum is, to the point where prospects really start pushing back on you, right? So maybe that's 2,000, 2,500, 3,000, 5,000. It really depends on the value that you provide and the service that you give, right? So just test small amounts until you say, okay, now I'm getting huge amounts of resistance. So this is probably the sweet spot. And from client number 4, the minimum retainer you should charge is about 2,000. The reason it's 2,000 is because if you go less than that, it's really difficult to make the math work at scale in an agency when it comes to paying for people, getting the right talent, good talent, not shitty people to actually deliver the services. And the math just doesn't work in your favor if you're charging less than that. Because at the end of the day, the way I run all my agencies is minimum 70% profit margins. Otherwise, it's not worth my time, right? And I recommend that's the same for you, because the point of an agency is to build cash flow, not to, somehow build this massive thing that makes no money, right? Because at the end of the day, even though I've sold agencies, it's very difficult to sell them at a massive multiple, unlike SaaS businesses or things like that. Right, guys, so I hope that helped you. There's just literally a 7-step process on how I would go about building an agency if I was to start completely from scratch, which is what I did. I literally went through this process myself, and as I mentioned, I actually showed you the results, which was GrowthTube. So if you do find value in this and you want my help implementing these stages step by step, click the first link in the description. There's a short little video. It's about 5 to 10 minutes that shows pretty much what my offer is, what I guarantee is, why it's pay on results and very different. So again, I'd love to invite you to check that out. But if not, subscribe, like this video so the algorithm shows you more of my content. I mentioned a bunch of videos that I'm going to make about these individual things over the next couple of weeks, and I'd love to see you on the channel. With that being said, all the best with your agency, and let me know what happens in the next 45 days.